saying, I will never get tired of hearing this meeting was being recorded. By the way, Jade, what are the people listening to? You're listening to the Ladies Tale podcast because absolutely, I mean, our guests today, we have to talk about it because radios, managers, all of that goes hand in hand. You're welcome, Winona. Yes. You're welcome. Brilliant idea that you just thought of that I revised in my head. That to make it your idea? Yes. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm not Jade. A narcissist. Oh, and I'm Winona. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still thinking I'm not a narcissist, but I accept all credit for all your ideas. Not a narcissist. I don't know. Like that might literally be like a definition somewhere of a narcissist. Like somewhere down in the 99 or a jerk. Like either way. Okay, maybe we'll say not a jerk. I'm not a jerk. Of course she's not a jerk. She's my friend. Okay. She can take some credit for my stuff. I take credit for her stuff all the time. I mean, like these cookies I baked though. So it is. No idea. She does not take credit for my cookies. My cookies can dent walls. I literally threw a cookie at the wall. The cookie fell down, but the wall was dented. Oh, wait. So we might literally like guys with pie poetry. And yes, one of our books does have a recipe in it, but it's for biscuits. So I can make some good biscuits, y'all. So yeah, that works out. So, and I thought being grown up was easy. If only I were me, a memoir in verse. And I thought divorce was bad and other life lessons. Born coffee and Widow's Web and Widow's Debt. And yep, all of those are available on Audible or wherever you get your audiobooks. Where else can you find the 17? Yeah, I was about to say it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting there and I was about to wrap it back around when you had something to say. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughtLadies.com. But y'all aren't here to hear about us. You're here to hear from our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Rita Rich, and I'm the news director for WNAV Radio, 1430 AM, 99.9 FM in the city of Annapolis, Maryland. And I've been doing radio since I've been 18 on and off. I've done public relations, have done media training, have done, just finished up a murder trial. I think it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, sitting through the evidence of that murder trial that happened in Annapolis. The Capitol Gazette shooter, whether he is criminally responsible or not criminally responsible. He was found criminally responsible and not insane. So that's who I am. And 3 things about me you want to know. I have 1 cup of coffee before I hit the Capitol Beltway. And I limit myself to 2 more cups of coffee when I'm behind the microphone. And I love my news team. We've won 7 Associated Press of the Chesapeake Bay Broadcasters Association, 3 first places and 4 second places. And we had some stiff competition all around DC and Delmarva. And I'm very proud of them. And I am their humble leader. And I also do mornings with Bill Lusby, who's the morning show host on WNAV.
That is fabulous. And I'm going to tell you, but everyone listening on the podcast, I'm like, they're going to want her to do the shows from now on. Yeah, that was wonderful radio voice. They're going to be like, this high pitched look, that I hear all the time. Y'all like, seriously, you need some media training from us. Oh, I was not going to say the same thing.
It's got to be authentic, ladies. It's got to be authentic. It's all about authenticity, which is why you're such a hit. So people tune in and hear how authentic women talk about each other and other things. So
I hope we're not sending anyone backwards with our chatting. Anyway, I have a question that's not important before you even get started on all the important questions. Wow, a question that's not important. All right, let's do it, Winona. Let's do it. What did you wear for the awards? Well, that's super important.
I wore a t-shirt that said feminist because it was virtual. And I was texting back and forth with 2 of my news team. And at first, one of my colleagues, Donna, wore a beautiful suit and pointy shoes. And then she changed midway through it into something more comfortable so her dog could jump all over her and, and the birds and the owls in her backyard could, poke their eyes out at her. She attracts all raptors, or the birds who like to kill prey. Ooh. And she's also an Annapolitan, Marylander, so it's pretty cool that she can do that. And my other colleague, I don't know what she was wearing, but I have a feeling it was not a feminist t-shirt, but maybe a button-up shirt, and she was sitting straight. My news team is made up of mostly women. And the people who are on the air most are U.S. military veterans. I've got 2 Navy and 1 Army veteran, and all women. And it's I think that's kind of cool. You know, they serve their country, and then they learn how to serve society as journalists. Just rather nice. I kind of like it. So if you tune into the station, you'll hear Julie Ryder coming back at the end of August, maybe sooner. She's got a voice to die for. I mean, I'm really sensitive to voices, and Julie she kills me because she's a natural. She can just open up the microphone and you're like, oh, me, I had to work at it. Years, ladies, years.
I have to ask now, what are some of the techniques that you learned? And then geez, ask away the question, because I said I'm gonna do one and now I did two.
Well, that's how Winona style. I'm gonna do one question. It's like 2 or 3. Okay.
No, it's okay. I can tell you that I was born in Brooklyn, New York. So you'll hear the New York now and then. When I get tired, the Brooklyn comes out, especially when I'm in the middle of traffic and people don't know how to accelerate while getting on the highway.
You did say travel the way. And so I said, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like, you're supposed to accelerate. You know, I don't, my exit's like right next. I can't move to my left. And so it's terrible. So you know about those jams. No, I went to college in Buffalo, New York, and New Yorkers all do not sound alike. Every region of New York has a different slight intonation. Like Western New York is kind of Midwestern America. Downstate New York, Long Island, some suburban Connecticut to New York City, New Jersey, we have that nasality and sometimes that guttural thing going on. And you have to just really consciously think about where the voice is coming from and how you open and move your mouth. And like a lot of people who come to America from overseas, when you sing, you don't have an accent. So how can you incorporate some of that into your speaking voice? So think about that. Yeah, you can have the mayor from Australia when he's singing, unless he's really nasal that day, you don't know where he comes from. Same with except with the exception of the Beatles, maybe. but you'll hear Queen. You would never have guessed where Queen grew up, with Freddie Mercury and all the rest of the guys. So think about that.
That's a very interesting.
Yeah, I studied that. And it's been a hobby ever since. And I always wanted to be a writer, and the guys at the radio station were nicer than the guys at the college newspaper. And I applied what I wanted to learn as a print journalist, and I put it on the radio. And then I got sloppy as I got on the radio. But that's another story. We forget our grammar. We do a lot of ellipses, ... instead of comma or hyphen, take a breath. Yeah.
Interesting. I love it very much. I mean, for the writer in me, I'm like, yeah, this is fabulous.
I'm sorry. I was like, that joke sounds a little easier than writing.
It does.
Just a little bit easier.
You still have to start the story and not bury your lead. And you can't do suspense writing on a radio. You don't have that much time. You just want people to get the facts. Guy was found guilty, and this is how it happened.
Wow. All right. So
as opposed to, it's the inverted pyramid thing. That's another thing. If you ever studied literature and essay writing, and you still could have a story go around full circle if you have a little more time. But for what we do at a full service radio station, which there aren't too many of them, where we provide public affairs, public service announcements, yes, plenty of music, traffic, weather, and we have a local news department. So we're Annapolis's news station, radio station. We're local. We try to keep it only to Anne Arundel County and Queen Anne's County on the Eastern Shore, where we're heard the most. Though I picked us up pretty nicely in Silver Spring in a rental car, the AM station picked up pretty well. So yeah, you never know who's going to hear you.
Yeah, wow, that was.
I'm gonna say, like, it does pick up nice. We do listen occasionally to that.
Sure.
Like, every blue moon, we're like, let's find out what's happening in Annapolis.
My dad listens to
all the time.
I get that all the time. My mother loves your station because we play that music, and you're going to hear Lou Rawls. I'll call you when I get there. Nice and easy.
All right.
Making
Okay.
it
No,
easy.
I'm loving how you're applying the singing to
yes,
actual
yes,
singing.
I love it. I love it very much. So let's talk about your
I
history.
sing at the you can just name a lyric and I'll just start humming something. It's stupid. It keeps us on our toes, and we have a lot of laughter in the newsroom at my expense.
Well, that's great, though. I mean, we love a lot of laughter on this show. I mean, I think everybody knows that by now. So let's talk a little bit about your history, right? Because you are a woman. You're a person that identifies as a woman, and
You're on the radio.
You're on the radio, and
was it always easy?
You're a bit wiser than the two of us. So
yeah,
was it always easier?
Covering up the silver streaks. Yeah, it's not easy. It's never been easy being a woman in radio. I have a history of being a broadcaster in upstate New York before I moved to the DC area in 1989 because I met a guy at an actual social event, and I fell in love with a guy and I wanted to date him. I don't know if I fell in love with him first or I dated him first. It's all a blur now, but I was married for 26 and a half years. I'm a widow. It's never easy. Nobody, the person who says they have a charmed life is probably lying. There's something. Everybody's got their own personal crap show, and up here, everybody has it. They have anxieties about money. They have anxieties about getting a job after college. They have anxieties about whether their sisters love them, or their parents will ever talk to them again because they saw a guy. Everybody has something going on. So it's never easy. And there's a lot of sexism still, but I'm not going to talk about still. But there was when I was coming up. I am technically oriented, and I had a lot of engineers hitting on me, and it was a no-no. You should never date somebody whom you work with, which might surprise people because I actually married a radio guy, and we adopted canine kids. As you can hear in the background, if you can hear him. It's the smaller dog, my most vicious watchdog. And I could close the door, but it's a little too late for that now. So it's never been easy. Women have to deal with being sexualized forever. And even in today's gender fluid generation, where they want to be cool with men being a man and a woman, or a both, or a neither, or a they or them, or a he or a she, or they're transitioning into one or another, which I didn't have to deal with. It was not something that happened unless you were a rich professional tennis player, or, if it happened, nobody publicized it. It wasn't the thing to talk about in public. But women have often had it tougher. And it's not saying like, oh, poor you. Some women got jobs because they were women, because the federal government required equal opportunities. But don't think that just because you land a job, you get to keep your job. Even then, you still had to prove yourself. I mean, Oprah might have gotten hired at the same time Gayle King got hired. And they had to make tough choices. And they had to go for where the opportunity was genuine. Gayle went up to Connecticut. Oprah went wherever she landed after Baltimore. I can't even remember. I mean, she didn't just, spring up with Harpo Productions out of nowhere. It was a lot of, you're telling me I can't do this, I'm going to do it anyway. And finding smarter people to work with who would trust her and guide her to make the right decisions. Nobody starts out knowing everything. So it's nice when you can find people who want to take you along on the ride.
Oh wow, that was like
the best answer I've heard.
Yeah, that was just a lot of really great information. Kind of like packed it in there. I liked it. I feel
like I'm going to do something great with my life. That's a lie. But,
the
feeling is genuine.
The feeling is genuine. We won't write pop poetry anymore.
No, poetry and podcasting, and one day I'm going to find out everything about you guys. Because you're not.
So another great question. I really appreciated that last answer. That was fabulous. What are some things that you wish you knew then that you know now, that you would like to pass on to people that are trying to get into radio?
Humility, a lot of humility. I'm of an age where I know a certain amount of people who've gone rock bottom and have needed the 12-step program, whether they are alcoholics or drug addicts or sex addicts or anything. And they've all come out saying, you've got to be humble. You got to realize that it's not all about you. If I knew then what I know now, if I knew then that I could communicate and ask a question instead of just being a rebel and saying, no, that's not right, I'm not going to do it. I think I would have lasted longer at a couple of jobs, at least when I first started out. Humility helps. And asking people to tell me more about stuff. There's always something I missed. When you listen to interviews, sometimes you kick yourself and you say, man, why didn't I ask about that? Well, I ran out of time, but yeah, when you had the time, why didn't you just follow up on that one nugget? So learning how to listen better and humility. I think those are two things.
I love it.
I love it.
I love that, especially that one about why didn't you just follow up? I don't know how many times you leave a room and you're like, that was the one question I just wanted to ask, and then years later it's still bugging
Still
you.
nags you, yeah.
You're like, well, if I had asked it, what information? And then you learn it the long way around. If you do learn it at all, you end up learning it the long way around, and you're like, you just asked while I was there.
I should have just said something. Okay, so wow, we are out of time. Can you believe it?
We are so
out of time. All right. So where can people find out more about you? I know you said you're on the local radio. You can say that again. And then also, if you also have a website or something that people can listen to, they're not in Annapolis.
Or possibly some writing that you actually did instead of being on the radio. No, possibly.
I write news on for radio. I have done a lot. I have a business partner in California. We produced podcasts, and I was a voice of Canadian Made, which is pretty much Go Canada. And I think Air Canada had it on for 3 years. It was part of their entertainment system. It was a podcast, but for on air, on board Air Canada. And I met so many good people. So you can go to flatlandsavenueproductions.com, named after an avenue that connected the neighborhood where I was born and spent some of my youngest years in Brooklyn, New York. And it also connects to where my business partner grew up in East New York, in another section of Brooklyn, not far away. flatlandsavenueproductions.com. WNAV is WNAV.com or 1430 WNAV.com. We're on Facebook. If you go to the Facebook page, you can scroll through my Capital Gazette shooter posts. That was the best place and the only place I had accessibility to using my iPhone. So forgive the typos, just poking around on this thing. And I posted updates on the trial, so you can read my updates. And I do a lot of writing. I have had a blog. I haven't really kept too much on the blog, but you can see the podcasts that I've edited in the past, Green Under Pressure being one, which was about climate change. And Richard Painter is a political ethicist, and I was an editor of his podcast for quite some time as well. It goes on and on. I mean, I have a lot of experience, and I hope I'm not rambling on too much.
Oh no,
we love it when people talk.
So fabulous. We love when people
and
talk.
We also know that we have to have you back.
Absolutely.
So much to talk about.
Yeah, so we are like, woohoo, having her back. So thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't need to remember to let guests say things like that, right?
Well, no,
it's been Jade, it's okay. It's okay. Don't forget to thank your listeners.
I will at the end. I always do.
Would you like to wrap us up?
Absolutely.
There you go.
You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. While you're there, go to the bottom of the page to the charities that we probably support. You can support them also. We thank you in advance for that. And just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Will Nona
and Jade. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening.